begotten anybody. So that's actually Islam is specifically anti-Christian. Islam teaches that Jesus never even was crucified.
Right.
So that's anti-gospel specifically, right? It attacks a core message of the gospel. What was the other one?
The Kabbalah.
The Torah, the Quran, huh?
Kabbalah.
The Kabbalah, and I don't know too much about the Kabbalah, so I don't want to try to off the cuff give an answer to that.
I think that's more of a philosophy. It's more of a Jewish mysticism is the Kabbalah. That's not an actual book.
And I would just add to that, gospel really just means good news. I don't think the label that is added to those 4 books, it's just like saying if you had a real problem with the word Pentateuch, does that disavow anything like those first 5 books say? Not really. It was a label that was added later. I think you'd agree with that.
I think it's one of those things. I think it's one of those things. If it's gospel with a big G, it's relating specifically to Christianity, and if it's just gospel, it's just the good news.
Yeah, if it's a theological term within Christianity, it has a specific meaning, but the word itself just means good news. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on here. Sabia, $2,000. Go Rams. $2 super chat. Thank you, Sabia. Mr. Junior, $5. Yeah. Woo. No.
I'm not getting any of these super chats, guys. Just letting you know.
Mr. Cook Jr. What's that?
Go ahead.
Huh?
I was just going to say in spirit.
In spirit. There's $2,000 in spirit money. $5. Based on Mike's epistemology, shouldn't he accept alien claims from multiple sources? The simple point that people don't rise from the dead is enough. Because people have experienced alien abductions. But that goes back to what you kind of answered before, I think, unless you want to touch on that. Why don't you accept alien claims?
A couple things I'd say about that. If it's an alien claim, is it multiply attested, like multiple eyewitnesses in one event, like we have with the 12 seeing Jesus, multiple? Do we have the conversion of the alien hater over to believing in aliens? And then, of course, we can affirm that an abduction of some kind took place without affirming that it was aliens. Just like I'm arguing for the resurrection of Jesus, I didn't necessarily argue that it had to be God who did it. Although I would say that, but I'm saying that you could affirm the resurrection without even saying how it was accomplished. So I could affirm that somebody, you know what, you really were abducted. Look, there's medical evidence. There's multiple people who saw it happen and confirm under duress that they really believe this thing. Then I would be like, yeah, you really got abducted. Whether or not it was an alien, that's a different issue, isn't it?
Okay. Insidious Viz, $4. Paul?
I think he's frozen.
Yeah,
Paul, are you there?
Paul may be resetting. No,
he got abducted.
Yeah, he got abducted. So we're waiting for Paul to get back. Let's finish these. Insidious Viz,
Don't fight
$4.
it, Paul. Don't fight it.
Jesus was the original cross-dresser. Jesus was the original cross-dresser. Nuck, nuck. Andrew B., $5. Mike Winger, the Bible proves the Bible is true. I don't think that's actually kind of what he's saying. I think he actually is trying to expand a little bit upon the narrative of the apostles and the writings from a historicity type of point of view. But to me, I don't take whatever person's believed a long time ago. The most I can ever get to is that they believe something. That's it. They saw something. What they saw, I have no idea. I mean, every story I've ever investigated where people said they've seen something of a supernatural causation, 99% of the time you're going to find a natural explanation for. And the ones that you can't, probably you just.
We thought you got abducted, Paul. No, I went to you to ask you about the alien thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
you were gone. I was worried.
Can't deal with aliens.
Tell us about the probe.
We always call it my Lucasfilm chip that they implant before us. That
Makes sense.
tells us what we can and can't say.
Makes sense.
It shuts them down.
So wait, let me share one thing real quick, because you kind of answered for me on the issue of, I'm not obviously saying the Bible proves the Bible. It's way better than that. But
he does that a lot, Mike.
But the other thing was the idea that dead people don't raise, therefore Jesus didn't raise. That's the concept. And I would just say this: I'm not arguing that Jesus raised through natural causes. It's not that through natural causes this happened. It's just that it's a historic fact that it happened. And unless you have methodological naturalism, you shouldn't rule it out as a possibility.
But according to Steve, you actually can rise from the dead. If you remember that hangout from a month ago.
Right. Logically, is it possible? Yeah, completely possible to rise from the dead logically.
No,
There's nothing illogical about that. It's just physically impossible.
It's impossible.
It's not naturally, as far as we know.
It's everything impossible. Everything.
But you
logically,
said,
rationally.
God couldn't even do it.
All of it.
He would have to actually prove that with a logical proof. But you said
what if super intelligent aliens
Mike, hang on.
did it, and they're just more advanced than us?
Mike, you said though the resurrection was a historical fact, and I think that's completely disputable. If the resurrection was a historical fact, everybody would be a Christian. You can argue that it might be a historical fact that he existed and maybe even crucified. That's something we can validate. You can never say it's a fact that he was resurrected on like that, like a historical fact, because we don't know it's a historical fact.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think it is a fact, but I think there's a problem with that, Steve, is that you're suggesting that if something's a fact, everyone's going to believe it.
No, I'm suggesting that if it's a fact, it has to be something that's ontologically true, right? A fact is what correlates to a truth. Now, you believe that on faith that he rose from the dead, but there's no ontological fact that corresponds with that. You're just asserting that is to be a fact.
So you're asserting it's not a fact. It's not true.
No, I'm not. No, I'm asserting that I have
so
no
it might be true.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm the one
that's
so
saying
then
that
I might be right in your view.
Rise from the dead, because it's not logically impossible. There's nothing in logic that says you can't do it. There's no contradiction there to say it's logically impossible.
Yeah, but something being a fact has nothing to do with how many people believe it, right? If it's a fact, it's a fact, period. And I do think that the resurrection of Jesus is a fact, and I think that these other historical things that people can agree on, they point strongly in that at the factual nature of the resurrection.
I think it's a fact. But a Muslim would say it's a fact that Muhammad struck the moon and split it in half. To them, that's a fact.
But he's wrong.
Cleaved it, yeah. Well, okay. I mean,
look,
but that's why it's not. I don't think you can assert these.
Allow me,
facts.
You guys, to give what is an actual fact that we all know to be true, even though some of us deny it. Pineapple does not go on pizza. That is a fact, and yet there are people all across the country that will put pineapple on pizza.
It just makes it flatbread at that point. Yeah, delicious flatbread, but
sometimes
pineapple and pizza doesn't exist.
Oh, Mike, we're having some audio issues from you. You get some static.
Yeah, Mike, nice meeting you, Mike. Take care. Pineapple and pizza.
How many more?
What kind of heathen are you? 3.
Sometimes.
Intellectual icon, Clasm, $5. Please ask about well-explained, understood ways cohesive groups normalize their memories. Isn't that the most likely explanation to a shared vision? Somewhat, yeah. What do you think, guys? I mean, do you guys think that people do kind of normalize their accounting of an observation to have similarities?
I think that we need to have some kind of evidence that suggests that there's a parallel example for what we see in the first century, that somewhere in history we have a parallel example of that. It's too easy to just say maybe they hallucinated, even though we have no evidence of that kind of group hallucination. There's just nothing. Maybe they normalize their memories, but give us an example of like an actual group of people who had this kind of memory normalization, held to it under the kind of duress that the disciples held to it, and then went from fleeing to preaching the gospel. They went from running for their lives to offering their lives. These are all really important elements. So if we generalize too much, we lose the details.
To the end of to make this a parallel example, you've added a lot of assertions that I don't think are historically necessarily proven. You haven't necessarily proven that anyone other than Peter and Paul each of these things. You haven't proven that there wasn't even, there obviously are, like you're adding, there obviously are examples of groupthink that change memories. These are, there's a lot of studies you can look at this stuff. So
is there one that's maybe a parallel to what we're talking about?
Well,
but you're
the
one who's now qualifying what makes it parallel. You're saying, well, this doesn't happen because they were under duress. When actually, being under duress is one of the things that makes is one of the factors that makes some of these things more likely. Or being tired, or being having your life turned upside down, or having someone die. Those are all factors that we know increase the likelihood of these things happening in psychological studies today. So, I mean, the fact that you want to add those other things on, even though we haven't necessarily proven them. Just feels like you're the one shifting the goalpost on that.
Okay, I mean,
let's get
give me an example of something I've added on here that I haven't.
Mike, we have to start wrapping this up. We got about 4 minutes, and we have to
All
go.
right,
After
we'll
you
leave
Tigers are
round two.
wanting to continue. Let's do a round two.
Yeah,
down the road.
That's awesome.
Seriously.
A lot more questions we could probably get to. Yes. 2 more super chats. Godless Engineer, $5. How do you explain the connections between the empty tomb discovery and the book of Daniel?
I don't even know what connections he's referring to. Sorry. Yeah. I think Godless Engineer is a mythicist, if I'm not mistaken, and so I think he sees a lot of connections that I probably would actually say aren't.
Okay. Time, $2. This can only be settled by a wet T-shirt contest. I'm sure Shannon would be really happy with that for all of them on a wet T-shirt. I'm not going to be in a wet T-shirt. I don't have the nipples for it.
Godless Engineer, send me what connection you're talking about, and I'll forward that over to Mike, and maybe Mike can get that answer for you, because I don't know what that connection is either, so I can't speak to that. But I'll find out for you.
Sounds good.
And that's it for the super chats.
Okay, well, that was hella exciting. That was awesome, guys. We should do a round two and let you guys kind of, based on this.
Yeah, Mike, I really enjoyed that. I hope I didn't come across as if I didn't. I love this kind of conversation.
No, thank you, Paul. I would, if we do it again, maybe we can talk about the possibility or impossibility of miracles, since that seems to be a big issue that we didn't really get much into today.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea.
Just an idea.
And you guys can, I tell you what, you guys watch this, either this weekend or whatever, and you can kind of maybe come to a specific topic. If you want to go with miracles, that'd be great too, but maybe you both will watch this again and see, an area where you want to kind of hit back again. So we would love to have you both back. Maybe 17 times for you, Mike, and then that would make about 78 for you, Paul. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for having me. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that it made a difference for you. It
was great. It was great. And go ahead, guys, and to close out, let everybody know your channel again, where to find you, and follow you, and all that good stuff. Paul.
So Paulogia, spelled Paulogia, is my channel on YouTube, and I do pretty regular videos looking at the claims of Christians. It has been focused a lot on science, but I'm moving it much more into Bible and theology, since that's actually my strong suit, since I used to believe young earth. So anyway, that Paulogia, find me there.
And make sure if you go to tweet at him on Twitter, don't make the mistake that I did today and forget the O at the end of the names, because that poor guy today.
There's someone out there named Shannon Q and someone out there named Paulogia who really hate us.
Yeah, no, the Shannon Q lady's awesome. I actually follow her. She's as sweet as she can be. But the poor Paul,
like, who is this
Paulogia
person on
guy.
YouTube people keep talking about?
That raises a bigger question. And where's the other guy getting Paulogia from? Like, I feel like you should sue, Paul. Let's talk
okay,
about
well,
this.
sure.
All right. All right.
Well, there's some other Mike Winger on Twitter. I'm Mike Winger II. So go figure. We're all just
small,
second
man.
base.
The world is small.
Yeah. But my stuff is just Mike Winger. Just look me up on YouTube, or you can go to BibleThinker.org, where I've just got a ton of free resources organized by topic and searchable and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks again to both of you guys. We'll be back here tomorrow, where last week's discussion will be taking place. Dr. Ward, I spoke with him today. He's all set and ready to go. He's actually it's going to be a really cool discussion. He's going to talk about the effect that the CFCs had or played back in the heyday of those on the environment. And he is I didn't know this, but he is actually a pretty leading expert in this field. I knew that he sent me a couple of papers that he had done, but I was researching it more this past week, and he's done a lot of stuff, and the things he's going to be talking about are really cool. So you're going to want to, no matter what side of the argument you're on, although I can't wrap my head around the fact that there is another side to that argument. There should only be one side, but maybe tomorrow we'll be able to pull you over to the right side of history and save the planet. So plan on being here with us at 8 p.m. tomorrow Eastern, and I don't have really anything clever to say. I was going to go with take care of yourself, but that's Don Lemon, I think. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Let's take care of each other.
God, I did it again. I sit here and wait. I'm used to David taking us out.